her business is actually, as she wears several hats. Today's episode is brought to you, as always, by Restream. Restream is a multi-streaming platform, and I think we're live right now on Facebook and on YouTube. So, Mary, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Marie. Lovely to see you here.
Yeah, you too. So how do you take your coffee? And if you don't drink coffee, how do you start your day?
Well, I start off every morning with two black coffees, at home. But I'm a latte addict. So I always, somehow, I have a favorite place here in town where I can get a takeaway, go with my mask and do a takeaway. So it's a latte, and it's the best latte in San Miguel, in Mexico.
Nice. Yeah. So you're talking to us from Mexico today.
Yes, in the middle of Mexico, in a mountain town.
How's everything going out there with COVID?
Well, it's we're a bit behind. Thank goodness in a way, but we're starting to get serious now. We're saying be even more cautious than before, and it's because there's only 2 small hospitals here. So everybody's being extra cautious.
Gotcha. Well, I'm guessing you're staying safe.
Yeah, you too. You're in New York. I mean, that's when I last saw you, right?
Yeah. And we've been okay here. I'm very lucky with my living situation, and also, the curve is starting to go down. So we've been pretty good, but what happens with the rest of the country remains to be seen, of course. So. So tell us where you are on your entrepreneurial journey right now. I know you have a few ventures, and I'd love to hear about them.
Well, I was in New York for a long time. I was in New York in my 30s, and then I was just in New York for the last 12 years. But I landed, and I've always been in the branding space. I had a branding agency. I started in Sydney in Australia. And then I had opened an office in New York in 2000. And I've always loved the world of brand intelligence. And then I sold the business, and I've been consulting and leading my New York Brand Lab workshops all around the place in Latin America, here in Mexico and Australia and across the US. And then I came here a few years ago, 4 years ago, and I started one day I picked up a brush and a can of black house paint, and I decided I wanted to paint floor to ceiling, wherever that idea came from. I have no idea. And I started painting. I've always been a doodler, an incredible doodler.
Yeah.
So I was really just, the doodles didn't want, those damn doodles didn't want to be doodles anymore. So they made large paintings. And then I was in Sydney for a while working, and I suddenly was painting, and I was teaching at the university and doing brand workshops. And I suddenly was offered a show in Australia a few years ago. And I didn't just want to have the art on walls. To me, art belongs in everyday life. So I decided to, that's one of the rugs there. That's one of the rugs that's based on one of the paintings. It's all very graphic. You're in a chair here somewhere. Oh, see that chair there? Can you see that chair? It's a bucket chair. I got it at an auction, and I had the fabric Black Line Crazy printed on the fabric, and then I upholstered the chair. So things like that I sold at the gallery. So I was, as a brander, I'm sure it's affected my work as an artist designer, because I just keep wanting to put it on other things. I'm not dedicated to having exhibitions with art on walls. I mean, I love it, but I think it's fun to do other things. So I'm now wearing 2 hats, as a brander, or brand psychologist, as Time Inc. called me. Because they said I kept asking the strangest questions about, what was really going on with they were launching People Weekly, and they said I was asking questions about the corporate DNA, and they told me I was like a brand psychologist. So now I'm wearing 2 hats, Marie. I'm still doing the branding, and I've just relaunched a new site, which I'll tell you about, and it's Black Line Crazy. So I've got an online design shop and virtual brand coaching. Nice.
That's awesome. So you're sort of an artist and an entrepreneur, and, very often both, which I love, so what are you working on now, and how has COVID sort of changed what's happening in your business?
Well, I've been Zooming so much. And I find your setup here so interesting because it's so different to Zoom. It's like a totally different lens, you know. But
Mhm.
I've been Zooming, as I say, for so much, and I've been meeting so many wonderful business executives and professionals and all kinds of people, you know, through various networking groups. And every time I'm on one, I say, you know, this is what I do, and I'm also working in Mexico as an artist. And then I say, look, I'm very happy to help anybody, right, with their brand. So sometimes I would get on a phone call with them afterwards and spend half an hour, 40 minutes helping them. You know, I'd try and tap into what was really going on
Mhm.
and see if they were a dead brand walking or not, you know. Check their brand pulse, right? How's that pulse pumping? How's your pulse pumping? So, and then many of them said, you just turned my life around. How did you do that? And I kept thinking, well, look, I love doing this, Marie. I just love it. I love it. So the way COVID has actually impacted me is that I suddenly thought, well, why don't I offer some coaching sessions, brand intelligence, right? I'm really into brand intel, one-on-one
Mhm.
coaching sessions. And I just put up the site. I redesigned the site. It's maryvanderweel.com because I thought, because I thought I want to help more people get their head around what in the hell is going on, you know, because a lot of people are disillusioned. They think their business brand is in trouble, or they don't know how to rejuvenate it, or how to feel good about it, or they're just
Mhm.
struggling. So there are all kinds of things that we can do. So I've just done that, and I've always had brand work, a few small brand clients that I've been working with since I've been launching Blackline Crazy. But now I feel like I just want to give back, and I'm offering it at better rates than usual. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's awesome. So who do you like to work with? Do you like to work with, solopreneurs? Do you work with larger companies? Is it sort of a hybrid?
Well, I used to work with, when I had my agency in New York and Sydney, I always had big corporate clients. You know, we launched, People Weekly for the Australian marketplace, airlines. We launched Macau International Airport in Hong Kong, actually, before we launched that airport. So all kinds of, in every magazine, we relaunched or reinvigorated almost every magazine. And then when I moved to New York to open an office, we did work for the Museum of Modern Art.
Mhm.
So, but now it's mostly business professionals, startup CEOs, small agencies, boutique agencies. I love working with ad agencies, small, boutique agencies that need help, because it's really just about evaluating what's going on and how to tap into that scintillating spark that everybody has, right? And how to coax it out and really embrace it and give it a language and give it an image and give it an energy. Because as I always say, Marie, I say your brand, because I hate that word, I hate saying I'm a branding person. Your brand is just a feeling people have about you. Punto, claro.
I love
That's
that.
it.
Your brand is just a feeling people have. That's wonderful.
Have about you,
Yeah.
what you in your business, right? So it's all about bringing your humanness back to the table. Because so many of us, we think we have to speak in some sort of corporate language and keep our clients at arm's length. And of course, that's the last thing we want. We want to be, I think clients, or people, not clients, people want to be more up close and personal than ever before.
Right.
They're longing to be connected.
Especially now, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's a crazy time. So I actually, as I said, I hate the word. Do you connect to that word, a branding consultant? I mean, it's sort of annoying, don't you think?
I mean, I do branding. I'm a social media person, so I have to be aware of branding. But I think that the word is overused. Absolutely.
Oh.
And I hear people use that word in ways that I wouldn't necessarily have imagined, or whatever the case is. And I think people, nowadays everything's a brand, right? And
Exactly.
so it's very easy to be like, well, that's not my brand. And, and my thinking about branding is that, that can be a very, very fluid thing, because over time, I mean, look at someone like you who wears so many hats. Well, what's your brand? It's this big thing. And I know what I feel when I think about you and I think about your work, and, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is the purses and the Black Lion, image. And, but is that your brand? I don't know, so, it's kind of the curse of knowledge. Like the more you know about branding, the harder it is to define, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, when people ask me what I do, I never say I'm a brander or a branding person. I say, well, I actually help people recognize who they are so others can. And then they look at me, they come closer. Because that's actually kind of why I do what I do, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then they say, what does that mean? I say, well, I help people communicate that they are who they say they are and their organization. So that's how I start, because if I said I'm a branding coach or consultant, yawn. So it's really to me, it's about pulling back the layers of any organization or a small company or entrepreneur, right? And really being able to capture fabulous essence.
Love it. So how do you spend your days nowadays that you're, things are starting to lock down there?
Well, I have a terrific, when I found this house when I first came here to San Miguel, I never intended to stay. I was working in LA and I thought I'd do the bags in LA, but I couldn't believe, after living in New York for so long, I was in a car all the time and I thought I'd go crazy. So I came here to visit some friends just for a minute, because I had been here before. It's where I started to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this place isn't for me, But some wonderful friends said, well, look, here's a house. There's an abandoned house around the corner. Why don't you have a look at it? And I'm getting to the answer, Marie. I came to this house that has a garden and then this crazy Mexican house with a skylight that goes down the entire center of it. And I couldn't do anything but say, I'll take it. And because I heard in this whisper in the garden or somewhere, if I felt as though the house was saying, what took you so long?
Nah.
So I stayed, and this is where I've done everything. I think it's been like a magic incubator. I could never have done this, I don't think, as easily, it wasn't easy, but I could never done it quite like this if I'd been in LA or New York. So my days are in this space, in this incredible space, and I have a corner where I do my coaching and my branding work, because as I said, I just launched the site on Wednesday night, actually.
Wow.
So I'm sitting here, talking on me, and then I go to another part of the place, which is out there, where I sometimes paint. I just still love black house paint, acrylic,
mm-hmm.
and I can go out there for half an hour and feel terrific, and then I just come back here again. So I kind of just switch back and forth, and sometimes I don't switch. I'm on one thing most of the time, and I'm here. I'm in this. The house is almost all black and white. I've painted the whole thing.
Nice.
You're the same, right? You're not heading out to meetings. You're on the phone, on Zoom, and it's kind of how it works. So but I do go back and forth, between the two brands.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that you have the luxury to do that? It's, and I do the same thing,
Yeah, you do. You're an artist, musician.
Yeah. And I work on the creative stuff,
yes.
For an hour, and then I go to the other stuff, so like, it's what a luxury entrepreneurship is, to be able to, work on your painting and then work on the branding. And, it's amazing.
You sit in the same spot though? Do you sit at the same table doing everything, or do you have a spot for your artistic creative stuff?
Well, okay. So we actually moved into this apartment, right before COVID. And so we have a 3-bedroom, it's me, my partner, and my, our very good friend. And so I have cornered the dining room. And so we actually have 2 tables here, and I go from one table to the other just to have a change of scenery.
Well, it works, right? It works.
I can't explain it other than sometimes I just need to sit in a different chair, and like look at different things. So, yeah. So I feel you on that. You go to one place and, in these times you have the scenery of, going from one room to the other or whatever it is. So I love it.
I think it's a great idea, Maria. We have to be creative regarding, where we put our butt every day.
Exactly, because that's what we have a choice with right now, right? And better to be safe.
Exactly.
So awesome. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to know more or want to work with you?
Wow. Well, on the do you want to recognize yourself so others can front, the branding front. It's the new site is Mary Vanderweel. Shall I spell that? Everybody gets it's so hard. It's MaryVandee and then Wiel. It's the I before the E. MaryVandewell.com, and there's coaching sessions there if any of you interested. The other site is Black Line Crazy, because I only paint in black and white, and that shows all the bags, and I've also got them on throws and rugs and homeware, and there's a backstory too about how I landed in the middle of Mexico. And Instagram, you're an Instagram girl, aren't you? I love Instagram and Facebook. I have Mary Vanderweel on Instagram and also Black Line Crazy.
And I'll put the links in the Facebook.
Great.
So we have that. But,
yeah, follow and say, hey, I saw you on Marie's show. Hola, hola.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was really great, and it's great to hear your story because I think it's such a fun one.
It's wonderful to talk to you again and see you. So thanks, Marie. Thanks for having me on your show, and hasta pronto.